What's up, dudes?
Yo,
What up?
Aloha.
Aloha.
Shoots, bro.
Aloha.
yeah,
Shoes, brother.
shoes, guys.
Hey,
Uh,
real
Wait, real
fast.
quick,
Can you?
Stu.
No,
Wait,
no,
I
no,
just
no,
want
no,
to,
no.
no, you started.
Oh
I just started. I
man.
just want to say, I'm saddened that last week we had Lloyd Christmas. This week we have Stu back. So your
Got my
grill
grill fixed.
is fixed, and I can honestly say I prefer Lloyd Christmas.
Oh, you do, huh?
But anyways, go ahead, please.
Well, I was just gonna ask Russ, like, what does shoots, bruh mean? Like, what
Oh
what is
boy.
that? Give me some local
Yeah,
Hawaii talk.
shoes, bra. So that can be more like, gosh, how do I even translate that? I think it's like, shoes, let's go. Like, okay, sounds good. I'm down, shoots. Like, but then, okay, the thing about pigeon is you can use shoots in like a lot of different ways. So you could use it as a goodbye, like shoots
Dudes.
guys. Like, so you're like, wait, what? Yeah, shoots is also goodbye, but shoots is also, hey, you want to go? Shoots, let's go. Okay, so is that goodbye? Let's go. No, that's so shoots is used. I mean, that's how a lot of words are like pow or no, the kind's a good one.
The kind's a good one. Yeah, most
Kind can
people, especially
feel
like out here snowboarding, they don't realize the kind. They think it's some kind of
Well,
snow
it's a
brand
brand.
brand,
That's
for
a
their,
brand, yeah.
brand.
yeah, but it's the kind is local kind, bro.
Yeah, I talk Buddha down because that one it's interchangeable to anything. The
Yeah.
kind is basically like a filler to anything. Oh, the kind means anything. Oh, I was with the kind. Okay. Yeah, you bring the kind to the potluck. Kind. That could mean a person. That could mean a
Yeah.
thing. That could mean a person, place, or thing. Anything.
Or a
So,
t-shirt that's
or a
a
t-shirt. Yeah.
branded or
Are you gonna wear the
the
kind?
kind branded t-shirt.
Yeah. Oh
So who
yeah. It
knows?
could actually be the kind t-shirt. So.
What about Stu, broke the mouth? You know what broke the mouth
Oh,
is? Broke the mouth is good.
that's a good one.
Yeah,
What is that?
especially when you up North Shore kind and
Bonus.
you're eating some conos. Broke the mouth, bro.
Broke them out. That's a good one. Yeah, broke them out. That's an interesting. So just delicious, tastes good, but broke them out. Like that
Nice.
was broke them out.
That was
Yeah.
real good.
I
Yeah.
have enough trouble trying to explain some of the normal, English language to my
English.
kids when there's like multiple meanings, to words.
Yeah.
But this is going to another level.
Have you read the Jesus book? That Jesus book?
Uh-uh.
There's a pigeon New Testament, that Jesus book.
Oh,
I
that's
gotta,
good.
Really?
I gotta get that for you, Goody. Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd love that. I would love that.
That's funny.
That's good.
Hey, transition a little bit. I was just doing some research a little ahead of this podcast about fathers and daughters. Did you know that having daughters actually increase the longevity of men, of
74
fathers?
weeks.
74 weeks. Yeah, you saw the same research. Dude, that's
Yeah.
crazy. That's bonkers to me. I mean, I get it because like just this morning I was about to like choke slam my son for being a total butthead, and like my heart level like raced to a new high for me. I was just like, ah. But I don't really ever have to do that with my daughter very often. Actually,
Just wait, dude. Just wait.
yeah, I know. I know it's
Yeah.
coming. I know my,
Just
my
wait till the
daughter's so
teenage years
young.
hit. We'll re-record.
Yeah.
And or maybe you won't. Maybe you won't have those issues.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm
Yeah.
sure it's
I,
coming.
I I don't know how extensive that study was, but it said, well, so he's fine, and maybe they take less risks because maybe or what was the other thing? Take less risk or
They
make
said
healthier
boys are more
choices.
expensive. They say boys are more expensive, which I was like,
That's an
I don't,
interesting that.
yeah, I don't
I
know
don't
about
want
that.
that. That's
Yeah.
questionable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's I was thinking like, yeah, well, sports with my boys and football, there's all that equipment, but then I'm like, but then the
Clothes,
clothes and
jewelry, makeup.
yeah, yeah, it's
Thing.
to kick it off. So Russ, when I see Russ, and I was just telling somebody the other day, I don't remember what the context was, but I was talking about you, Russ, with another dude, and so for me, Russ is literally an answer to prayer. I moved to Hawaii. My first duty station was 20 plus years ago. And uh I wasn't married, was a single guy, showed up to the island and was going to a church and was just like, God, I pray for a dude just to that you bring a dude into my life, just a friend. I like a friend. And this was fascinating enough. This was before all of our Kinetic Man work and just awareness around friendship and the importance. There's just something in my soul, literally something in my soul that was just like, I just want a friend. And then Russ, you and I met, I think like that day
Yeah.
at church
Hmm.
and became fast friends. And now 20 plus years later, still friends and just love you and your family. And so one, the power of prayer, a plug for the power of prayer.
Oh, 100%.
And two, a plug for accountability amongst friendships. So you and I had talked about 2 weeks ago, and we have a ton of accountability across a number of different topics. But you were trying to really refine the fathers with daughters offering,
Yeah.
and we were talking from a business perspective.
Hmm.
And we said, well, what are some of the things that can drive results for the both of us in different contexts?
Hmm.
And you were like, man, I think a timeline, a timeline. I'm like, awesome. Let's record a podcast in 2 weeks. And dude, it's awesome to see the power of accountability and some of the things that you and I were talking about that I wouldn't say you were stuck on. It's just there were decision points. There were things that had to get done. There were
Yep.
things that needed to move forward to progress not only this movement, this community that you are stewarding, but really the business side as well. And like, okay, I got
Hmm.
to refine these things. And so it's cool that today it's just funny. Yesterday, you and I spoke, and it was like, okay, I got this done, this done, this done. There's this. I can send here, here, here. It just was really cool to see. So I encourage folks out there, not don't only pray for friends, but pray for godly, amazing friends who will also push you to be better through accountability and want depth of relationship, because the impacts of that and the fruit of that expand through multiple facets of life. And you're an example of that for me.
Oh, I appreciate that. I
Yeah,
think
man.
in life we want to be intentional. I think, we want to go after things, but left to our own, which is kind of why the importance of community, friendship, and accountability is important because, that's why we get a trainer. Because if not, we might not go to the gym as much. Or I mean, there's exceptions, but by and large, there's so many things we want to do in life, but if not pushed or held accountable in a healthy way. And I think that's the other thing is, right. Sometimes people have a maybe a mixed bag relationship with accountability because maybe they've had things where it's just like real hard and it's like you're gonna do this and I'm gonna hold you accountable and it feels just really harsh. So I think the underlying thing within that accountability, as I think about it, is the depth of friendship or kind of the way that the connection is. Because if you have someone who loves you, is cheering you on, but is also going to hold you accountable, that's a different level of accountability rather than someone just like, you better not mess up and I'm going to hold you accountable. And it's like, whoa, and it might move you to action, but after a while, it can kind of war on you and just feel like, man, this guy's like on my neck all the time. Versus someone who's like, I'm in your corner, but bro, I love you too much to let you stay where you're at. So I'm gonna hold you accountable to a higher standard. Like that's what you guys do for me. Is like you call me the higher standard, not just encouraging, because like left to our own we're gonna do things, but if we're like pushed to a higher standard also with accountability, like I think that's the magic formula. So I appreciate that, man. And like I think
Sounds like different styles of parenting too.
yeah, yeah, that's true. Exactly. It can translate into parenting because that connection piece, if we're not connected with our kids, but we're trying to like, you need to do this, you need to do this, like how they receive it versus I always say like connection is kind of like the oil on the gears. Like if you have it makes things a lot easier. When you don't have connection, it's like you're grinding it out and you're trying to go and it's not going as easy as it could be. It's still gonna be hard, but it's a lot easier with oil than not oil. I mean, and so when you have connection and you're trying to hold your kids accountable, you're trying to have the hard conversations. If you're connected, it's a lot easier than if you're not. Bro, good luck. Good
Yeah,
luck.
Stu's always trying to like offer to put oil, like rub my back with oil because he's like, oh, this will enhance our friendship. And I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, like maybe it's a metaphor, Stu. It's a
No,
metaphor. It's not he's
Literal.
not being literal right now. Okay.
I've never offered to
But
put
keep your
oil on your
hands to
back.
yourself. Keep your hands to yourself.
That's gross. Russ, it's interesting. We're talking about connection. We're talking about holding our kids accountable and like pushing them. And just yesterday, I'm coaching my son's baseball team, and like we were doing some practice, and like there was a play, and he kind of messed it up, and like he started almost like crying. I was like,
Mm,
"What, dude? What's up, buddy?" He's like, "Everyone's just like telling me what to do so much. Like
mm,
I just feel like they're like always telling me what to do, and I can't make my own choices."
Mhm.
Like, can you just like stop like telling me so much like how I should do things? And I was like,
Mhm.
that's fair, bud. I appreciate your honesty, and yeah, I'll try to, cut back a little bit and let you make some of your own decisions. And I feel like as a dad, like I have a fault
Stop
of,
messing up.
yeah, dude, like
Just be
quit.
perfect.
Yeah, just be perfect all the
Yeah, be
time. Like
perfect.
I am,
I won't tell you
right?
what to do. Just be perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Russ, let's get into it a little bit. I mean, so we had you on a couple, gosh, man, it's probably been a couple years now. And we've been hanging out a lot, as Kinetic Man goes, and just it's been really fun to see your journey. And you have one wife, three daughters,
Mhm.
all ladies in the house, and so
All
you've
girls.
really passionate about helping dads to really connect with their daughters. So let's get into that and tell us about your journey there.
Yeah, three girls. So I always wondered because I love sports. I thought, man, when I have my son, I just, you envision what it's going to look like. And God, I feel like had different plans for me. So three girls, and I always consider myself a girl dad, obviously, because I had three girls. But I knew I was passionate about being a father. I love my girls, and to your point, initially they started into sports because of me. So like they tried all the soccer and t-ball and flag football and different things, and I would coach them. And I thought, oh, this is, and then they decided to choose dance. I was like, oh, all right, hey, ballet. um, and that was
But I
totally
thought
cool.
you were very proficient in ballet, Russ. Not to
I'm
interrupt,
not
but
bad. I'm not actually. My daughter went on point. She had to train for a year just to be on the toe thing. I was like, you're still just training exercise to do that? Yeah, a year later, then she gets on. It's unreal. Like, talk about athletes. Like, yeah, you're playing basketball. Like, dude, there's some serious athletes to be able to do that stuff. So anyway, at the end of the day, God showed me that, and I place these girls in your life for a reason, as He does for all of our kids. But the passion to really dive into fatherhood was something that started to develop over time because I realized they're different than me. I don't understand them. I want them to think like me, and they just don't. And the part of it is just obviously the age, they're younger, but part of it is the gender. I think in a certain way. And then when I'll say things like how I say to my friends or even boys, sometimes they react differently. I'm like, what? Doesn't the world just always respond the way I think it should? And then I realized, man, my girls are more sensitive. They have different bents on the way that they view the world. And that kind of set me on a journey of like, well, what does that look like to explore this a little bit more and be intentional to really connect with my girls and I guess parent them the way God would want me to parent them, and show them the Father's love in the way that has showed me. It's been a challenge. It's not easy, but in that, it's really showed me a pathway to my, I guess you could call it my call, or what I feel God's called me and placed me on this earth to do, is to one, be the best father and husband as I can to my three girls and my wife, but also encourage, equip, and challenge other fathers who have daughters to be their best and their highest and how they can show up for their daughters. And quite frankly, I understand that because of the challenges I face, I'm guessing girl dads are also facing those things. And I just want to create a space and a place for them to be like, hey, I'm a girl dad too, and I face some of these challenges, and there's a community for you. And I'm going to call it the FWD movement, which is cool. FWD, I give Goody credit because he wanted the shout out. Because one time he's like, hey, how did FWD go? I was like, FWD? Yeah, fathers with daughters. I was like, ooh, I like that. So FWD movement, just forward movement, helping dads move forward in their relationship with their daughter. It's a beautiful thing that God's kind of placed on my heart, and I'm just full tilt, whatever God you want. Let's go and let's see what can happen where us being men and being better fathers can really impact the world, and I believe change communities and change families by doing that.
yeah, well let's dude, I love that. And obviously both Stu and I have a daughter, and it's pretty fascinating just just the way that not only the difference in the kids, because it's not like, if you have multiple daughters, there's a tactic and all your daughters respond the same, right? Same with sons, and having a mix in the house is just it's an interesting dynamic. And I find myself oftentimes I find myself overwhelmed, and I will be very self-critical because I fail as a dad and meeting the needs of my children individually and uniquely. because they're individuals and they're unique, as am I, right? And so my approach is very different, and everything. There's a bunch of just. I just found myself a lot of times a bit discouraged because I want to be so much better in different ways,
Sure.
and it's just a hard balance, right? So someone like me, you're serving men, and yeah, it's specific with, but I mean, I'm a father of daughters and sons, but I'm welcome into your group, because I do have a daughter, and there's some uniqueness to that. And I'm just curious, you're serving men like me, like Stu. How specifically are you like, what are the options? What are the opportunities that we have through FWD? And I didn't
Yeah.
realize that's probably the military side of me that I just turned it into an acronym.
Acronym.
I actually I didn't know that was a thing until you just mentioned that. So that's pretty cool. It's kind of cool that it is FWD forward, just pushing dudes forward. So all that was,
Yeah.
I admit, 100% completely unintentional on my part.
Well, I thought I'd give you credit because the last thing I want is to take it as my own. But at the end of the day, what God's placed on my heart, and it's probably going to change by the time this thing comes out, or in a year or two from now. So whenever someone's listening to this, but at the end of the day, I got my certificate for coaching, executive life coaching, and so I'm, all the way up to one-on-one coaching with girl dads who want to be super intentional and don't have time, but will do one-on-one stuff, and we're just gonna really dive in and help be intentional and play some tactics and accountability around how to be the best girl dad possible. I have one-on-one coaching, but I think where we're gonna land a lot is the mastermind. So FWD locker room is what I'm calling it, and basically it's a when you think of sports, where locker room, where you come into the locker room and that's where you're going to get encouraged. That's where you're going to get the playbook. That's where you're going to like prep for when you go out into the game. And so similarly, like as dads, like I think we need a space to be intentional. And the thing about a mastermind is cool because you have other dads who are sharpening you, and you get hot seats and all these different things. But I also have a system, and it's a mastermind of dads coming together to set vision and values in their family, and through that they're going to be accountable towards how to become the best girl dad possible while other girl dads are doing that together. And I think this is going to be a beautiful mix. I've already been doing these calls on Friday, Father Daughter Fridays, and that's what sparked the idea. Is like, man, there's such value, but it's kind of been real, random. I'll just bring a topic and I'll put a topic here, put a topic there, and it's been really great. But I thought, what if there's accountability? What if there was a set structure and framework for these men to come in? They know they're committed. They know that they're in it, and they're going to be moving in 12 weeks. They're going to move from, I was here with my daughter, and not clueless, because I think these dads who are joining these things are, they're doing a great job, but they just want to be more intentional, and they want vision. They want to have, setting values. If I just say, hey, what's your vision for your daughter? Right? I don't know. Well, let's set a vision for what that relationship and who you want your daughter to be. And in 12, not that you're going to achieve it all in 12 weeks, but in 12 weeks, you're going to be that much closer because you set intention, accountability, you're part of this mastermind. And so that's my desire, is to coach these men alongside each other to be better in a structured way. And then FWD League is just kind of like maybe guys don't want to be in a mastermind, but they want to be a part of a community where there's challenges and there's, resources where they can, be a better dad. And maybe I have this idea vault where guys are just dropping, hey, I did this with my daughter, or my daughter's this age and I did this, and they can resource it and be like, wow, there's dads doing this, or how I handle technology with my daughters, and so like just different ways that guys can be resourced. And then on island, I do events. So if you're in Hawaii, I do a bunch of different father-daughter events. And one of my keynote one is the father-daughter prom. Every June during Father's Day weekend, we do a huge prom, and we dress up and dance and DJ and music, and we have a really, really good time. And then I've done other events, like I did a father-daughter holiday movie night. We had this big LED screen, and then they watched The Grinch and popcorn and candy. And then I did a father-daughter Valentine's cookie ice cream sundae date where they came and got to decorate, cookies and write letters to each other. And it's just fun. So we've done, a bunch of different events, because I believe that sometimes it just starts with showing up one time that gets the ball rolling. And they're like, yeah, I want to be intentional with my daughter. I want to show up, but what is there out there? And so I'm just trying to provide platforms for dads to show up, be intentional, take the lead. Because as men, I believe we are called to lead our families. And yeah, so that's what FWD is and what God's placed on my heart.
Dude, that's so cool, man. Just watching some of your content and you telling us about, the events that you did. Man, that the father daughter prom, man, it was so cool. Um,
Yeah.
so fun to see that and just the impact that made on both sides, both the dads and the daughters. Hey, you've been doing these Friday calls, these community calls for a while now, and I'm just curious, like what, you said you kind of bring a subject to discuss. What are some of the challenging subjects that, we as fathers face that have brought, a lot of, you know, hard conversations around, like what are those subjects that we really need to kind of think about and dive into as dads?
Yeah. I remember one call we had was around, and again, depending on the age of your daughter, right? But I do think that so it is kind of somewhat, depending on the age of your daughter, it's relative. However, we tackled a topic about critical thinking. How do we help our daughters become critical thinkers? And the challenge there was, as men, we want to solve, fix, and give them all the answers. But you and I, you guys know, if we just spoon feed our kids or our daughters all of the answers, they'll never learn to think for themselves. We're just telling them, and to be honest, sometimes parenting, I could guess I could call it old school parenting, was all about just like, I'm the authority and I'm going to tell you how it's done, right? And then like your son, I'm just gonna keep doing this, keep doing it. And so they kind of learn to just obey and follow or rebel, but either way, they're just getting instruction the whole time. And again, age appropriate, right? So if they're like 3, you're not like, make your choices, right? You watch out, don't run into the street. So there are certain boundaries within age appropriate things. However, I guess for me, as I think about my daughters, my daughter Ava is 16, Lily's 14, and Belle is turning 13 in a month. They're more in that stage of independence, growing into who they are. And if I'm still over there parenting them like a 6-year-old, hey, make sure you wash your hands. Hey, da da da. Like, then it's demeaning to them. They feel like, Dad, I'm old enough to know, whatever. So back to the topic, critical thinking. How do we help develop critical thinking in our daughters? It's asking questions. It's thinking through, like, so when they ask a question, you turn it back on them. What do you think? I don't know. What do you think? Right? And all of a sudden they're forced, aren't you the dad? Aren't you supposed to, what do you think? And allow them to think through, well, maybe, okay. Do you think that's a good decision? And they get frustrated, but I'm like, I'm trying to train you how to think rather than just give you the answer. Because if I just give you the answer, then what happens when I'm not there? You're gonna call me every time? You're gonna go chat GPT? What are you gonna do? Like, I mean, that might be the case, but hopefully they learn to think for themselves and not just rely on, authority to give them the answer. And like even when it comes to even devices, like I asked them, hey, what do you think is healthy today? Like how long do you think you should be on your device? Or what do you think is healthy for you? Not should. I try to stay away from shoulds. Like you should, you shouldn't. I say, hey, what's healthy for you? And then 3 hours, okay. How long do you think we have in the day that you're going to be up, right? And then I walk them through and then, okay, and do you think 3 hours is healthy? Can you give me a reason why? And so I always tell them, like, give me a proposal. What does that mean? Well, propose an idea rather than telling me or asking me what you're going to do, like, or I'm telling you what to do. Give me a proposal. Oh, Dad, I want to do this, and here's what I thought through. And great, I love that you thought through that rather than you're just asking me and you have no thought to it and you're not really even thinking through your stuff. So, like, these calls get very interesting because dads realize, oh my gosh, I am that answer guy. Like I am just dictating my daughter all the time. And I get frustrated when she's not thinking for herself or she can't think for herself because I've just fed her this whole time. So it's a process, but these calls are beautiful because it sparks something, and then we have takeaways. And hey, maybe you can go, instead of telling your daughter, ask her a question this time or whatever. And so that's where it's been cool. But I want to be even more lasered in a mastermind where it's specific because these guys just pop on and no consistency. Some guys are, here, there, but a mastermind is kind of like set 12 weeks and we're going to dive in. And I think we see gains when we really put intention and do that. So yeah, that's
I
my
love
thought.
that, man. And David, I know you have a great question, but just as you're talking through that, like this exact thing happened just recently to me and my daughter. She's 10. And like, as they grow up, you're like, all right, it's bedtime. Go brush your teeth, and, get your jammies on, like get ready for
Sure.
bed.
Sure.
And the other night, like my daughter was like, Daddy, should I brush my teeth and get my jammies on? And like, I was like, you're 10. You're a fourth grader. Like, what do you think? And I, because the XX, I was like, what do you think? Should you brush your teeth and put your jammies on? Like, it's 8 o'clock. We should be going to bed around now, right? So, and I got like super frustrated by it.
Sure.
Oh man, I've just been feeding her, telling her what to do. So, like
Mm,
forever, she's just like, Daddy, you tell me when I should brush my teeth, right?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
man. So it was a wake up call for me. So I mean, dude, I love that, man. I love
Yeah.
that. Goody, you should brush your teeth and put your jammies on often.
I want to. Um, Russ, I think you should also open up that class for just adults in general, because
Yeah,
I think we're losing our ability to think critically,
think
and
critically.
yeah, this is a problem. But
Hmm.
you know, I say that jokingly, and I think that's a huge problem today. Is too many people are just regurgitating things that they're told. And it's pretty fascinating to me that I feel like we're regressing. But what do you expect if that starts as a parent and we're doing that with our children? Like, what do you
Mm,
expect to create? What kind of adults do you expect to create? I mean, effectively, and I've not really thought of it that way. It adds a little bit of urgency to my desire to develop my children in a different way,
mhm,
because I'm thinking, oh wow, the adult that they're going to become
mhm.
is the kind of the adult that I'm kind of, you know, I just look at and was like, oh my gosh, I really can't believe we're here today. But the other side of that is, if I'm if I'm holding my kid's hand through life, they're just going to look for the next hand to hold, and maybe that's Fox News, maybe that's
Mhm.
MSNBC, maybe
Sure.
that's, you know, or more dangerous, maybe that's
Instagram.
another person who will give them security, and
Yeah.
they can't have that on their own. So that's what a good lesson.
Yeah.
You know, I'm curious, and I love the topics, you know, the nature of the calls. But you mentioned it's a 12-week, you know,
Mhm.
the mastermind's a 12-week program.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, like, what are some of the things that you've been doing this for a while, and you've been doing it
Mhm.
in different contexts? Like you said, you're a coach. You've been doing these things for quite a while, and um, I'm curious, what have you distilled as some of the most important topics that you know you're going to drive towards in the 12 weeks? But just so we're aware, because I feel like a lot of the things that, like most things in life, it's we're overwhelmed by the seemingly uh, the tidal wave nature of the changes that we have to do to become the person that we want to be, and so it puts us into a mode of puts me into a mode of just inaction.
Mm.
But it's not a tidal wave, and there's some incremental tactics, and there's just topically, if you take two of these things and you implement, it can make the
Yeah.
world a difference. So I'm just curious, what are some of those topics?
Yeah. Well, thanks for asking. That's a great question. I've developed like I call it the 5 pillars of intentional fatherhood. And so, first one is vision, and as we talked about, that's one of the main things. Is I love this phrase, and I don't know where I heard it, but you're not just raising your daughter, you're shaping the woman she's going to become, or and so when I think about
That was
that.
for me also, Russ. I'll just take
Oh,
credit for
I
that
give
one
credit.
too.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
I heard it from Goody. He said that, because when you think about vision, right? Like who's the woman that you desire your daughter to become? And that's hard. Like, Stu, you have a 10-year-old, like to think of her as a woman. Like, what? Dude, she's like barely, asking me to brush her teeth. Like, I can't think of her as a woman. But the idea of vision is not like treating her as a woman yet, because she's not. She's still a 10-year-old. But the idea is having a vision for what you believe God desires for them in the future. And then what are you doing now to help move that towards so intentional, right? Versus like, man, my kids turned out so what were you intentional or did what happened, right? And so one pillar is vision. How do we have set vision? Because as leaders, I believe we're called to set vision for our family and our daughters and for ourselves as well, but for them. So vision. Two is leadership, right? So we're leading out. We're being intentional in leading our family. I remember I just did this the other week. I think I might have told Goody is we used to pray consistently over our daughters on Sundays, kind of like this Shabbat tradition, and we had this little book, and we go around and pray. And I realized, man, we haven't done that in years. And so just last night we got out the book and it was cool. It was torn and tattered and the girls kind of remembered, oh, I remember this book, and we went around to pick one. And then I prayed specifically over each one, Father. And it's cool because it has certain topics and whatever, but leading our family, I said, hey, we're gonna do this again. And like we hadn't done it because I didn't lead us into it. We stopped, right? And so vision, leadership. Third one is connection. And so I talked about the oil. Yeah, not don't get that picture of Goody in the oil, but the idea of a connection, man, like I believe some of these things build on each other as we are intentional with connection, connecting with our daughters. It helps us lead better. It helps us, fulfill the vision that we believe God's called on their life, but it's through connection. Because if we're not connected, you know how it is. When it's like, man, I haven't spent time with my daughter, and they can be a little bit more catty. They can be a little bit less responsive. So we really focus in on how do we build connection intentionally with our daughters. And then the fourth one is faith. I really believe as a Christian that is a true measure of how we, I guess, define success as a father is how do we lead with faith? How do we impart faith? How do we encourage faith? How do we, as an important part of our fatherhood as well as our daughter's development? Like for me, my vision for my daughters is that they would be godly women, that they would be women of faith, that would be women who believe in this amazing God that we serve. Like that's my vision. But if I'm not intentional with that and I just leave it up to the church, hey, Sunday school, hey, youth group, please go, teach my daughters this. Like I'm kind of abdicating my responsibility as a leader in the family over this area. So faith is super important. We're going to lead men through that. And then the last one's legacy. And at the end of the day, we're going to be leaving a legacy and our daughters will carry that on. But if we're not intentional, who knows what that legacy is going to be? So the 5 pillars of intentional fatherhood is vision, leadership, connection, faith, and legacy. And so in this mastermind, these are some of the areas we're going to touch on as we move forward. And that's why there's an exercise of I have a father-daughter vision roadmap where I help dads create a vision for their daughter, and to that point, I'm going to do an exercise where there's specific milestones in their life when they get married, when they go off to college or, when they have kids. And I want dads to envision, like literally put themselves in that place of what do you want that to look like? What do you want to feel? Like, what do you want to see? Because again, as hard as it for a 10-year-old, I can't imagine my daughter having kids or getting married or whatever, but let's go there. Like, let's literally envision what you desire for your daughter. What does God desire for your daughter in that vision? That's going to bring up some emotions. Like when I see dads walking the daughters down the aisle, I'm like, oh, like it's just like, but we go there and we think about what do we want that day to be like? What do we want, when they're having kids? And then, okay, what am I doing today? As she's a 6-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 13-year-old, like what am I doing today intentionally that I've set a vision of what I hope and desire for my daughter? And it's the little things, right? It's not like, okay, you're going to be this, so we're going to have you it's little things consistently. And that's why it's intentional fatherhood. It's like we're intentional with what we're doing towards a vision. And then also we develop values. And we've talked about this in Kinetic Man. It's like, what did, the crest or what is the values of, Gutierrez? Like this is our what we value. Well, I want the vision of these men to be based on values that they hold. So then the daughters grow up saying, yeah, as a Kimura, we do this because we value this. Wow, we're intentional with that. And if we don't have that, I want to help dads walk through that and have it in place so they're being intentional with their fatherhood and their home leading out.
Good. That's so good. I see you doing TikTok dances quite a bit
Yeah.
with one of your daughters. Is that how you're connecting with one of them?
Yeah, my youngest, she loves dance.
Yeah.
She loves dance. And I mean, they all have done dance before, but I challenge myself to um, find ways to be creative and get out there because if we just try to pull them up to us rather than meet them where they're at, like it doesn't always work. And it's like, hey, let's go out and go for a run or let's go work out. Yeah, Dad, I don't really, you know. But if hey, you found a trend, let's go do the TikTok or something. Like they light up. I'm like, okay, that's hitting right. And then so it's fun. It's a fun thing, and like I think just the nature of something like that, like it brings joy because it's different and it's kind of silly but kind of fun. Or they're like, oh my gosh, my dad's dancing. Like, fine, let's go do it, you know. But it does bring connection, it brings joy and intentionality of like, man, I don't know, let's just go do something stupid and fun. And the point of that too is just to encourage other dads. It doesn't have to be dancing, but go do something like silly with your daughter and like connect with them and go, don't be afraid to lean into the things that they're passionate about, you know. So anyway, it's a fun thing. I don't know.
No, it's good, man. I think it's fantastic. I really enjoy watching them myself. So you're doing a great job. You're a
Yeah.
pretty good dancer, dude. I'm
Uh,
just like, so you have three daughters. So,
yep.
and you said they all do dance, but I know they're all different. So, what are some of the practical things that you're doing to be intentional about connecting with them? We've talked a lot about, going on dates with
Yes.
our daughters. We've had we talked about the family board meeting and going and doing that with them. It's like, what are you doing practically with your kids, each different, to
Mhm.
connect with them?
Yeah. In seasons, it has changed to some degree, but one thing I want to share that I've done is these daddy daughter journals. You can't see it, but so basically over the course of the years, I've done these journals back and forth with them, even from the time they were young, where they couldn't really even fully spell, so they would just do pictures. But what we do is we write back and forth to each other, and then as they start to be able to write, I would do these things where ask questions like, what's your favorite color, or here's a picture of me, like and you riding a horse or something, like just fun stuff. And then they get excited and I leave it on their bed and then they'll put it back on my bed or my office or whatever. And we go back and forth with these. So I have years of journals back and forth, not years, I have a couple journals. So over some of the years, but that journal method, which I have a journal method, I'm going to put it in our FWD, because the thing about it is what I'm doing is I realized I was creating a pathway, a runway, a connection point to communication, because I knew someday I'm going to have hard things that I want to communicate with them. And if they're not used to communicating with me, it's like, oh, all of a sudden now you want to talk. Now I'm 13 and you want to talk about these tough things. Whereas like I've been trying to build that communication roadway or pathway to them. So that's one thing, is the intentionality of trying to, and there's we've gone seasons and years without some of it. And I'm like, hey, we should do that journal again or whatever. And so with my youngest, who is going to be 13 soon, we've picked it back up. And so now it's morphed into this, like, it's light, but also there's some good questions in there. Hey, what do you struggle with? What are you most excited about? And then we do like, would you rather? So this last one, um, said, I put, pancakes or waffles, brownies or cookies, Disney or Netflix, like these kind of stuff. And then she put back, okay, for you, beach or pool, kayak, paddleboard, sauna or cold plunge. Like, and so then we circle them and, we go back and forth. But like, it's a little fun, but then also like there are sometimes, hey, what's your biggest fear? And I'll slide some things in there, like, or what keeps you up at night, or what do you think about before you go to bed, or what's your biggest struggle? So I'm being able to communicate with them, and yet it's not all this like, oh my gosh, I have homework, I gotta fill out this journal, that right. I try to keep it fun, but still connect. Now with my older daughters, the journal thing is kind of like tapered off. We're not doing journals as much, which is fine. So then I find other intentional ways, and even like the verbiage, right? So I don't necessarily say, hey, let's go on a date per se, but like, especially for my older one, I say, hey, let's go find a connection point. Let's connect this week. You want to go on a hike? You want to go for a run? You want to go work out? You want to let's go on a drive, especially because she's driving now. My oldest is driving, so I don't have that drive time anymore. But yesterday we went on a drive and went out to Costco, and we're just going around and we can talk in the car. And we're talking about the prom promo video, and so she's helping me design the promo video. And okay, what dads do we want in there? What kind of theme do we want? And it should be some outside, some indoor, and this and that. So like finding like projects to work on with them. Like my middle daughter last night, she's working on a reel for me for Instagram, and the feedback, they're like, Dad, you can't just do all those talking heads one, because no one ever watches those, and like it's just I can't even watch it for it's just whatever. Okay, so what do you suggest then? Right? So I turn it back on them. What do you suggest? Well, you should do like clips and then maybe your voiceover, but you do this. And I was like, okay, can you help me? And then so they're over there trying to edit and like put videos together and whatever. So I try to find common things that maybe I'm working on or they're working on, they're excited, but meeting them where they're at, but being intentional, right? And so whether we call it a date or not, it's kind of how do you find intentional connection points every week to connect with them. that's something. I don't know if that answers your question, but they are different, and then it's going to change in seasons as well. So you can't expect like, hey, I'm just going to take you on a date every weekend. They're like, Dad, I don't call it a date anymore. Okay, let's go work out, or I don't know. We find different ways to meet them where they're at, but also be intentional and lead. Right, that's a leader saying, hey, this week we're going to go connect. Okay, or you don't even say that. You just do it. Right, you kind of, hey, what's going on? Like, or you try to find ways to like, can you help me with this project? And depending on where they're at, you'll be able to connect with them. Yeah. So that answers the
That's
question.
good, man. I love it. I'm gonna take you out. I'm gonna take that idea of the journaling. I'm gonna try to start that with
Yeah.
my daughter. Like
Yeah. And it's a
she's
fun.
getting to that age where like the hard talks are coming, and so to like to prep that
Yep.
with just comfortability and
100%.
yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. One of the things I'm thinking about is it's not just, I think there's a tendency, and we tend to do this. You look at something like this, the community, the offering, the coaching, and it's this fathers with daughters, how to connect with your daughter, how to be intentional parenting. But what I see in all this too is we will become better men
Yeah.
through doing these things, right?
Mhm.
This is also an investment in ourselves, and the sooner you do it, the more intentionality you express throughout these relationships. It also has fruit that bears for, right? Not only are you modeling and you're setting the example, you're going closer with your kids, but now you're building into like one thing I started thinking about now, not that it's I pray to God that it's not it's not soon, but it will be soon in the context of life when I'm a grandparent
Mhm.
ideally.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking through like, man, I want to be that epic like I've seen examples of grandparents that are just like baller grandparents, man. They're just
Mhm.
in their they're in their kids' lives or in their grandkids' lives. And they're just there's so much action and intentionality around it. And the relationships that it builds and establishes are amazing. And then you see the other side of that too. Well,
Mhm.
that practice comes now,
Mm.
right? And it's just
Yep.
in relationships in general. So I look at your program, I'm like, oh man, this is, yeah, fathers with daughters, how to be intentional, but really this is how to be better men too.
Yeah.
Well, Goody, and to your point, we say in Kinetic Man, like become the men that you want your daughters to marry. Well, where does that start? That starts with being a model to your daughters so they can grow up and be looking for the men to marry that we've, been intentional about and bringing them up that way. So I mean, super powerful.
Yeah.
100%. Because it's not just modeling, what it is modeling. However, it's in the relationship building of trust. If we're over there like on our phone and hey, get off your phone, right, and we're not modeling it, it breaks trust because our kids are like, hey, you're telling me to do it, but look at you, right? So they're watching us, and so in our efforts to try to lead them, we need to go first as leaders. We need to be modeling the things, this is how you have hard conversations. This is how you take responsibility, right? Like if we're trying to teach our girls, hey, I want you to do these things, but you don't do that with mom, like, ooh, right? Like it hits us because so the program, yes, it's about fathers with daughters, but it's more about raising the standard of us as men to how do we, we're not going to be perfect. And I talk about that. It's not about perfect, it's about presence because in fact, when we're not perfect, it shows them, it gives them, because if they feel like, oh, that's perfect, he never messes up, like then they feel like it's unachievable. But when they see mess up, but they see us circle back and say, hey, that wasn't okay. Dad messed up there. And I need to take responsibility. I'm sorry that I raised my voice or I talked to your mother that way. That wasn't right. And I want to apologize in front of you. And I've done that. I've done that. I'm not just giving an example. I've done that, right? And had to own my stuff and apologize in front of my girls to my wife and say, hey, that wasn't right. And I'm sorry. And I shouldn't have, whatever, right? But to me, that models not having to be perfect, but taking responsibility in our actions and hopefully showing them that. And to your point, Goody, like as men, better men, we were kind of talking about this the other day, yesterday, but it's also better businessmen, right? Like to the attention that we give um, to our family and being present there, I think gives us more room to be more present in the boardroom or where we're at in business. Because as entrepreneurs, we know we can't take a day off. And if we do, or even a half day off, where we're thinking about the all home life and how my daughter and this, I'm not putting intention there. We even a half day of not being focused in work can cost us thousands, depending on your level of your decisions. It could be thousands of dollars that you're losing because you're distracted. You're thinking about how you didn't do this at home, or you're not being intentional, but you need to be. So being present wherever you're at, yeah, be where your feet are. If you're better at home, I believe you're going to be better at your business. And the last thing we want is to be really successful in our business, and our family is nowhere to be found, but we were doing it all for them. Yeah, but you never put any attention, and we were successful on that one ladder when we're saying we're doing it for our family, but really. And so trying to help men, hey, you're going to be a rock star, at work, but let's make sure that you're winning at home so that you can even be better. Imagine the tension as you're really focused in at work versus kind of half present because you're thinking about home, and you're thinking about your daughters, and you're thinking about your wife and these things. How much less productive are you? And so the goal is like, hey, this is going to make you more productive, I believe, make you more productive at work because you've taken care of your home life. You're not that it's perfect, but you're there, and you're putting attention, and you have a plan, and you're confident. So then you can walk into whatever your business is and like, yeah, I know I'm doing my work there, so now I can do my work here. And I really believe that it's all encompassing, trying to, transform how we show up both in our home life, but also in our business.
That's good, man. It makes me think. I've been diving pretty deep into Patrick Lencioni's the five dysfunctions of a team. And one of the interesting things is there's a pyramid, right? And at the top is results. There's these five different levels. And one of the things he highlights, and when you were talking about this, it really resonated. And this is typically in the context, typically in the context of business, teams within business, but it's teams in general. And the foundation, the top is results, and that's the point. But most people are focused on results,
Mm.
and the problem is we have it backwards. Results are just a byproduct of everything else at the bottom of the pyramid. And the first line of the pyramid, the base, the foundation, the most important one, is trust. And it's really interesting when you look at this, the parallels not only between business and teams and family, but it's the idea that most of us are approaching it from the wrong angle, or completely upside down. We want these results. We want our daughters and our children to be these people. I want you to be faithful. I want you to be a faithful person who loves Jesus, and I want you to marry a man that treats you well. But I'm not going to take you to church or talk about God or read the Bible with you or pray over you, nor am I going to date your mother or even be necessarily respectful or a desire, a good husband.
Right.
And so that trust aspect is broken, and the results thing is relatively inconsequential and almost an impossible. I mean, again, the results are just a byproduct. They're not the focus. They're a byproduct of every other stage, every other step of the way. And if you do those things well, results are just a natural byproduct. And so it's just it's an interesting, as you're talking about it, and you said trust, man, you break that trust, and you break the trust, the whole foundation is broken, and everything else comes down, and the results are almost impossible at that point, no matter how much you focus on them. That's good, man.
Yeah, I love that.
No, that's good.
I don't think about that.
Well,
Russ,
I'll send the graphic, because I'm a picture guy, and I'm just like, man, that's really, I need to change a lot of things in my life to start with what we typically call the soft skills. And it's not really soft, man. The soft stuff's the hard stuff. Yeah. Think about building trust and breaking trust and establishing that. So that's good, man. I love it, dude. I love the one other thing, and we're coming to time, but one thing that I love that you highlight are all the ways they're relatively simple things. It just requires a little bit of I literally prayed on Sunday. I was like, God, like, help me to be more creative so that we're home. It's a beautiful day, so that I can do things with my kids that are memorable.
Yeah.
And not just be at home, and not just be, because when we're at home, we're frustrated with each other. Like, we're just all kind of ADD. We're all need to go. And so, like, I was just like, want something we never do. I took them all to a movie, and we just enjoyed time together at a movie. Just it was different. It was creative. For us, for me, it was a little bit creative because it's just, again, we never go to the theater and just kick back and have popcorn and all that. And so it was an answer to prayer, but I'm just like, man, this is a skill set, and intentionality is not just something that's going to be developed. You have to go after it. And so I love that aspect of your program. And dude, making better men and making better fathers it's a pretty amazing mission.
Oh, thank you, man. It's good.
Russ, for our audience, where do we send people to go find out more about, your entire program? What do we put in the show notes?
Yeah, show us. So I'll give you the link, fwd.fatherswithdaughters.com, or our Instagram. Obviously, a lot of people are on social media, so Fathers with Daughters on Instagram is a way you can find us as well. The links will be all in there as well. But I appreciate you guys just, you know, I appreciate your mission. We're on the same mission, right? To encourage men to be the best men possible. And I just want to give a shout out to Kinetic Man because I've been a part of that community, your guys' community for, I don't know, since the beginning, and it's just been life changing. I love the connections that we've built there, and the um, yeah, I mean, we've seen relationships with fathers and sons reunited. I mean, there's just been incredible things that have come from that Kinetic Man. So it's a great thing, and it's great to be alongside you guys on the fight for us to be intentional as men and be better and raise the standards.
Well, brother, likewise, man. I've had some amazing conversations with you, and you've given me personally a lot of fantastic advice that's blessed me in so many ways to be a better man. So, right back at you, brother. We love you,
We
and
appreciate
we're
you.
so grateful for our friendship. So, guys and
Yeah.
gals, hey, reach out to Russell. He is an amazing, amazing human. He will make you better. Go check out Fathers with Daughters. Thanks,
Hey,
brother.
hello.
Shoots, brah.
Cheers, bro.
Cheers, brother.
See you.